Hello and welcome to my first ever devlog for a little coffee shop game I've been working on over the last few weeks, which I'm calling Coffee Bean. The basic premise of the game would be that a customer would come into the restaurant, walk up to the bar. The customer would then ask to make a specific type of coffee drink. The player then would have to move around the bar using the correct equipment in the correct order in order to produce the drink that the customer wanted. The player would then hand the drink over to the customer, and as long as the drink has been made in the correct order and the quality of the drink is to a level that the customer accepts, the customer will then take it and either go sit down somewhere in the restaurant or will just leave. I've yet to decide on that final part. The first thing I added was the player being able to pick up items and hold them in their hands. This is done by using either the left or right mouse button. These items can then be placed into machines or dropped when the same button is pressed again. After that, I added a simple grinder to fill the portafilter with ground coffee. This will then later be used in the espresso machine to make the espresso shot. I later want to add a way to change the grind size of the coffee beans on the grinder to alter the final espresso. My primary focus whilst making the game was to keep everything as modular as possible. The goal would be to be able to give this project to a designer or anybody else as part of the development team without them knowing how to code at all. They could make changes, make new mechanics, new machines, new items, or even recipes. They could even, if they really wanted to, alter existing ones without needing to even touch any of the code. So I'm focusing heavily on the use of Unity scriptable objects and event-based architecture. By this I mean just throw event calls at everything I possibly can. Remember the grinder I first added? Well, the next thing I did was completely rewrite not only it, but also how the game handled items in the first place. When implementing new features or systems for the game, I would focus on getting it working first. This always allows me to feel out how the new system changes the flow of the game. Once the feature has been added, I can go back, work on refining it to the best I possibly can. This allows me to first block out what I want the new feature or system to do, then chisel away at the edges and smooth things out. The mistake I've made in the past was trying to get features added in one go. This led to massive overcomplications and a lot of burnout, as I would work on one feature for days and see little progress. So this is where the game stands right now. We have our coffee machine over here with our different cups, all using the item-based system. We have our milk jugs, milk carton over there, we have our grinder with our portafilters. We can take the portafilter in one hand, we can try to put it in the grinder but it won't go in. That's probably something I should change a bit, but for now let's grind a shot. So we put our portafilter in the grinder and we get a lovely tamped ground coffee. We can then throw that in the portafilter and we can pick up our cup. We can pick up our coffee cup, but we can also pick it up in the other hand, place it in the coffee machine itself, and we can see it extracts a shot. Right now there's no animations because I'm just trying to get everything working in the order I want. This is all using the event-based systems, so I can just plug animations into these whenever I wish. So now we've got our espresso shot over here in our coffee cup, so we're going to need some milk to make our cappuccino. So we're going to pick up a milk jug and we're going to pick up our we're going to pick up a milk carton and a milk jug, and if we press the interact key, which is E, it's a little bit hard to see right now, but you can see we've now filled it with milk. If we look at the other one over there, one has milk in it, one doesn't. So we pick up the one with milk, we can put it on the steam one, and my mouse bugged out, but you can see it's filled up a bit more as we've steamed some milk. My mouse has a bit of a problem, but anyway. Now what we can do is we can pick up the coffee cup, and if we press the interact key, we can see now we have our lovely cappuccino with a little bit of a heart. So the entire system at the moment is just functioning off of an event-based system. So there's a big shout out to Dino Dapper, who showed me how I can implement this kind of system in a really nice way. Oh, I don't actually have... But it's Dino Dapper has a really great video. I'll leave a link in the description to it where he goes over how to set up a event-based system using Unity scriptable objects, which allows it to remain quite modular and quite open. So you can see here, if I click on the espresso machine, along with all the collider boxes, oh no, not the espresso machine, the managers here have got different listeners depending on what kind of data is being passed around. And then we have the player's got the hands, and the entire system is just supposed to be as dynamic as possible. So if we can look at the recipes themselves, so if we look at scriptable objects, we can see we've got just the base objects for the milk carton and everything. And this is the new item system that the game is running off of, which just allows me to store data, plus allows me to store object states, so I can freely, if I want to, change the different states. So you can see here we've got an empty portafilter, then we've got a portafilter with coffee in it, and then we've got a used portafilter, which is slightly black coffee. It's really prevalent when you see the cup, so there's nothing in the cup. And then if we do cup with heart, you can see this model. So it just allows the designer to go in and say, oh, change to state index 1, and that'll change to a coffee with an espresso shot, and I'll show you that in the recipes themselves. If we look in the recipes folder for the scriptable object, it's split into two. We've got the hand recipe, so this is when a player is holding the cup itself, so you can see add milk to jug is one recipe, and they all run off of the 2-component recipe scriptable object. Did not mean to start Visual Studio, but whatever. So we can see here the recipes taken. This will probably need to be cleaned up a bit just to make it a bit easier to understand. But you can see one of the components is a milk jug, and then it needs to be in state 0, and then the resulting state is state 1. The other one is a milk carton state. Its starting state needs to be state 0, and the end state needs to be state 0, just because we don't want to change anything, so that's fine. And then if we look for the recipes for like a cappuccino, we can see we need a cup in these different states, and then we have the resulting states. Followed by the espresso machine, this is to make the actual espresso shot itself. So once again, just reusing the same code, trying to just use as much of the code as possible and try to keep everything the same. So you can see we need a portafilter in state 1, the resulting state is state 2, and then a cup in state 1, and the resulting state is state 1. This is what's also preventing us from putting the empty portafilter into the coffee machine. And I suppose I can make a recipe which just doesn't have any other secondary component that's required, and then it'll allow me to just install, attach the empty portafilter to it. But I can change this to whatever I want. So if I wanted to make the double espresso, instead of making a double espresso, we just change the cup to state 2, and this will just immediately make the cappuccino as soon as that's done. So we can just grind, put in, and then you can see now it makes the heart immediately. So this is the whole goal that I'm trying to do, where just keep everything as modular as possible, so that I can just right click and create a brand new recipe, and then make it whatever I want, require any kind of components that I want, like that. So that's the whole goal at the moment. Thank you so much for watching my first ever dev vlog for my little coffee shop game. If you have any comments or suggestions, then you can leave them in the comments section below. I would be interested to hear if you had any ideas or suggestions on what I could add or what you think I could improve on the game so far. If you would like to stay up to date on the progress of the game, then you might want to consider subscribing and turning on the notifications, so you'll know when I release the next devlog. Thanks all, and enjoy your day.